Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Mexican-born jazz bassist, composer, arranger, vocalist, and educator Gabriel Espinosa. From his base in Iowa, we get into his new 2026 album, The Brazilian Project, and a long career in the world of music. Born in Mérida, Mexico, his love of music began on the guitar at the age of 6. By the age of 14, along with his brothers Víctor and Patricio, Gabriel performed with their group, Los Deltons, where he played bass guitar. In 1976, he went on to Central College in Pella, Iowa, and then to the Berklee College of Music. From there, he never looked back. It's a great ride. Enjoy this interview. It's wonderful to meet you. Where are you located on the planet?
I live in Norwalk, Iowa.
Wow. Okay.
Outside of Des Moines.
Okay, well, we're kind of close. I'm in Kansas City, so again, it's wonderful to meet you. I love the Brazilian Project, so thank you for taking a minute out.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you
bet. So let's begin our journey before we get into the album by asking this. I would start with this question. 6 years ago, this pandemic was changing our lives, changing the world. How did you get through that era, and how has it affected the way that you live and make music today?
I think these last 6 years taught us a great lesson in the way that, you have so much, well, in my case, there's so much music inside of you that you have to make sure to release it, to share it with the world. It's the time to give everything that you have, that you feel to the people, because we're not going to take our music anywhere. So you got to share it. So I have so much music that I have to continue recording, because for me, I can play a live show, but to me, recording is the main thing, because then you leave something tangible to forever. So actually during these last 6 years, this is my second recording in the last 6 years. I feel, very committed to continue composing and arranging and producing and recording as long as I can.
So let's get into the Brazilian Project. It's a wonderful album. I want to know, what was kind of the vision? What were you going for? How does it feel?
To me, it feels incredible. And I'll tell you why. Because I grew up in the 60s listening to this music, and I got in love with this music. And I started playing that music, getting involved with the feel of that music. I remember back home, I grew up in Yucatan, Mexico. And back in the 70s, some Brazilian musicians used to come to town. And I was, 15, 17, 18 years old. And I remember going to listen to them, because finally the Brazilians were coming to Mexico and they were coming to Yucatan, and to be able to hear them live, that music that I got introduced to in the late 60s, finally I was going to be able to listen to them live. So it was a magical moment to be able to hear them live, to see them live, to talk to them, musicians from Brazil playing that music, because it is very different when we Mexicans or we Americans or Europeans, we play Brazilian music. We're still going to sound like Europeans or Americans or Mexicans playing Brazilian music. But when Brazilian musicians play their music, it's a different feel, completely different feel. So I became enchanted by that groove, by that feel, by that composition approach, by the harmony, by the rhythms. And that's what made the Brazilian Project come to life, because I've been working with this music for so many years. But this is basically the first time that I got the opportunity to record my 10 compositions with all Brazilian musicians, all of them, not even me playing with the bass, no, all of them. So to me, that's exactly what I was looking for all my life. How would my music sound, play, because my music is very Brazilian oriented, because I grew up with Jobim, and I love all those Brazilians, including Ivan Lins. So I got so much influence from them, but I want my music to be played and recorded by Brazilians. And this is a dream come true, not only because of the musicians, but the arrangers.
So what are you hoping the listener gets from this album?
The main thing for me is just to share my music to share my music with the world, to share the collaboration that we did between a Mexican American composer, because I'm an American citizen now, that grew up in Mexico, that fell in love with the Brazilian music, and finally got to be in touch with Brazilian musicians, and they arranged my music, they play my music, and just to put it out for the world to listen to. I consider my music to be very accessible. I don't want to call it jazz. I don't want to call it. It's a very hybrid type of music. It has elements of Brazilian music, elements of bolero, elements of jazz, elements of funk. It's a very hybrid. It's just the collaboration is what, for me, makes it a very magical project. The collaboration of this Mexican-American composer with the Brazilian arrangers and musicians. And it's a very light, commercial, I think myself, it's a beautiful project, beautiful arranged, beautiful played, and accessible to lots of people because it's very, very singable with catchy melodies. So it's just to share it with the audience. That's the main goal, is just to put it out and have the audience listen to it. That's it.
So how did a kid starting to play guitar at the age of 6 from Mérida, Mexico, end up in Iowa with such a long and esteemed career in the music?
And that's a cool question. Here's the reason. Growing up in Yucatan, Mexico in the 70s, Central College in Pella, Iowa, used to have a program that they would send professors and students to study in Yucatan for a trimester. Then in the early 70s, I ended up meeting some of the professors. And then years went by, and 2-3 years later, I talked to the professors. They saw that I was really in love with music because I was playing already with my brothers. We had a band since 1966. So by 1974, 75, I had been playing for 9 years. And I expressed my feelings to the professors that I would love to study music in the United States, but I had no means, no ways to go to the United States and study music because the economy was very different economies. So I had no way. So they said, well, we can help you. So they found a way for me to come to Central College and study 4 years as a language assistant. So that's how I was lucky to come to Central, study music for 4 years, get my Bachelor of Arts, learn the basics of music because I was a musician that was playing by ear all those years. I didn't know how to read music. Everything was by ear. But then I got to college here and I started learning 4 years of music education thanks to Central College. That was my beginning. And then from then I had the opportunity later on to go to Berklee College of Music. Then it was a different situation. Finally I ended up getting a master's at UNT. But the main thing, I started by coming to Central College, thanks to Central College for giving me the opportunity to come with the scholarship to study music.
So who were some early influences musically on you that shaped the way that you were going to approach your career?
I would say I would start with of course, with the bolero, because I grew up in Yucatan, and when you turn on the radio during those years in the 50s, right? You would listen to boleros because you are from that area. But then by early 70s, 60s, the Beatles came. Then I started to listen to the Beatles. But then by the mid 60s, the Brazilians came. And that's out of the three, that's the one that caught me. And then by the late 60s, I fell in love with Burt Bacharach.
Yeah.
So I'm a very hybrid, from the bolero to the Beatles to the Brazilians to Burt Bacharach and the Carpenters.
Yeah.
So where is the jazz? I didn't really have any training in jazz or listening to jazz at all when I grew up. I was more into bolero, Brazilian music, the Beatles, Burt Bacharach, the Carpenters, Chicago, you know. That was my listening experience. But then the Brazilian was the one that got me.
Do you remember your first live show you saw that blew you away?
Yeah, the Brazilians that came to Yucatan.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you even why. Because I was not even 18 years old. I could not go into the bar. And I remember going with my brother. He was part of the band that we had, the brothers, and we would sit outside of the door and listen to them. And it was like heaven, listening to those guys so close, just behind the door. They were playing magical music. And it was like, what? Of course, we would wait for them to come out of the bar and finally talk to them. But that sound was heaven.
Yeah. So what do you like the best about being a musician? What gets you up every day? What's pushed you over the years to evolve and to embrace and love this life of being a musician?
Music. What I love the most is to write, to compose. Every day I'm so thankful that I am still today able to create music. And that to me is the greatest blessing. And I enjoy it so far. I continue check myself. Can I still write? Can I still write? And I feel today, as we speak, I still can write every day if I want to. I just love the process of writing music. And then after that, record, etc., etc. But everything starts with, I have the blessing to be able to write music every day.
So everyone has a perception of you in all these different bubbles of your life. Family, friends, fans, colleagues, everyone on the stage. But you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I feel that I am a communicator. I just communicate my music to the audience. I'm a very open performer that when I'm on stage, and most of the time we play 50-60% of what we play is my own music. So I open myself to the audience and I give them what I write, and I can see them. I can see their eyes. I can see their feet, that they are feeling the music, that they're getting something of what I'm saying through my music. And if I have 100 people in a jazz bar, I can see them and being quiet and paying attention to what the music is telling them. And I can feel and I can see that the communication is going through, because my music is accessible. It's not something that I just play, something that is so out there that they might say he's an outstanding musician, but they don't understand what I'm saying. I think that even though it's just instrumental music, they get the point. If I play a bolero, if I play a bossa nova, if I play a samba, every tune has a different feel. Every tune has a different picture. So I paint a picture through my music, and I can see the reflection of the picture through their eyes. So it's magical.
Absolutely. So if anybody wants to get a copy of the Brazilian project, maybe catch you live, anything else going on in your world, where's the best place to go?
First, go to my webpage, gabrielespinosamusic.com.
Excellent.
And after that, you can go anywhere. All of the other digital places where you can get music,
for sure,
including iTunes or Spotify or whatever.
Excellent. And I will put all of those links in the show notes. Gabriel, this has been an absolute honor. Great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out to talk about your life, the album, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate the time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening and tuning into another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds in Iowa, Mexico, Kansas City, and spots all over the globe, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Gabriel for his time and story. If you want to hear more Neon Jazz interviews, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us at YouTube, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.